Hi there, and welcome back to the Hub of Junior Golf Podcast. I'm Ryan Bird, joined as always by the founder of the Junior Golf Hub, Roger Nick. Roger, a lot of incredible headway, certainly coming towards not only college golf, but amateur golf, moving into the springtime, scheduling such an important part of every parent. In the last week, that's been the discussion on the street is how do I know? How do I get in tournaments? How do I know? My son or daughter never has enough points to be able to play in certain events. So we're not really sure what to play. Should we play lesser events? Do we need to travel? There's an opening in an event in South Dakota. I live in Florida. There's a lot. It's a lot on a parent, especially Roger, because every parent has FOMO, that fear of missing out. If I don't travel to San Diego and South Dakota on the whim that maybe I can win, that I'm never going to be able to get into certain events. What's your response to parents that are really fighting this scheduling battle? And especially in February, you're starting to say to themselves, we need to travel massive miles this year to try to make sure we can get into events.
I've got 3 words: Junior Golf Hub. Let it help you. I mean, honestly, the Junior Golf Hub has done an amazing job of getting all the events out there, helping parents understand that landscape, looking through the essentials guide, going through and scheduling and make a planner for yourself. It's all there. So honestly, for a parent who's, FOMO, right? It's there. It will kind of eliminate a lot of that. It talks a lot about the significant events. Which ones do I need to play in? And really, for the most part, understanding where your junior golfer really, is in its journey or in their journey is going to help a lot, right? So somebody who doesn't need to play in a quote unquote a national event, play local. It's okay not to travel. You're not missing out on anything. If you play well, local, regional, college coaches are going to, recognize that. They're going to see you. And by the way, what most people don't realize is that most people end up going to college within 30 minutes to an hour away from their hometown. So colleges are always looking. So just play.
How do you respond? You have a 221 years of history in junior golf. I'm not dating you, Roger. But how do you respond to the parent that says, my son, my daughter just keeps falling behind in the points race because they can't get in these events? If we play local and win, we're still not getting any points.
Listen, college coaches, if you're winning locally and you're making sure that you're developing your skills, it's going to show up, right? Because most of the time, those who are winning locally are going to qualify for the regional events, and they qualify for regionals. They're going to get enough points that's going to go on to play in the next events. But with that being said, I would also say, Ryan, college coaches, as we've had with Texas and other schools come on and go, if you're winning in South Dakota and you're winning your state and you're putting up good scores, I'm going to find you, right? So just keep doing that.
It's no one's fault, but somewhere along the line, and it's really good for these industries, but somewhere along the line, it became in parents' minds, they became fixated on the rankings and having the only way to do it is one way. And we just have millions of examples of that just not being true.
Sure.
I love those national events. They're great. We have one, obviously, Junior Golf Hub Notah Begay Junior Golf National Championships. It's a great national event on national television. But in order to get there, we're playing 10 miles from your house and then maybe 30 miles from your house. So it's not something where you've got to chase it, I don't think. And I think that's the fear of missing out is I need to chase the points, or I need to chase Johnny down the road who is the best player in the world at 10.
No doubt, you've got it. Let's get on a bicycle, run down the road, and find out where little Johnny's going. I'm going where he's going.
Right.
Never mind that you may not have the same experiences, same skills, same whatever. But that is the power of the tribe, right? So I think that is what happens all the time. And I think it's okay. I think just realistically, I think we have to understand that, we've been doing this a long time, Ryan. We've been talking to a lot of parents. Um, Not everyone's equal when it comes to playing tournaments. Yes, you want to get experiences. Yes, you want to play well. Yes, you want to get recognized, but get recognized for the right reasons, meaning that you are actually able to play at a level that you're going to be recognized for the right things, not going, hey, I'm finishing dead last in an AJGA event. Every time I tee it up,
Worthless.
sorry, it's not going to help you.
And I can give you here's my last bit on this, and I've seen it happen. You have situations where a player, you can come on the rankings your sophomore, junior year of high school and go to number one immediately. Like it's really how you, and that's when you need to be there, not at 11.
Yeah.
Don't chase it.
Yeah, well, I mean, here's a good example. I mean, we had one of our kids not long ago. It's probably now going on 4 years ago, who was ranked 2,799, right? Something like that, something crazy. He hadn't played in any national events, hadn't played barely even a regional event, right? All local, but his skills were amazing. The kid was a phenom waiting to happen, right? And we just said, be patient, be patient, be patient. He goes out, qualifies for his first AJGA event, ends up shooting 61, 64, 73 or something, and wins the event by, I don't know, 11 or 12 shots, right? And this is the kid was just first, but he had the skills to do that. And so he went from there to coaches finding him and seeking him out and getting a scholarship at Louisville, right? So it happens. It doesn't matter where you are. Just be patient, work on the skills, work on the right things, and you'll get recognized for the right reasons.
No doubt. There's no need. No one's watching what 10, 11, and 12-year-olds. I mean, it's all got to play out.
Yeah.
With that, we welcome our guest, Matt Miner. So glad you could join us today. Founder of the Amateur Players Tour. Let's start with that, Matt. Tell us a little bit about what the Amateur Players Tour is.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, guys. It's great to be with you. The Amateur Players Tour, we're a series of nationwide events. We've got 47 local chapters across the United States, each run a local schedule. And what we do is we run flighted stroke play events for amateurs anywhere from 18 to 80. And so we flight different players based on your skill level, give you professional tournament experience, and give you access to some of the best local places in your area, but also some of the great golf resorts around the country.
Matt, we've been talking a little bit, and we met at the PGA show, so it's been great getting to know you and learn more about what you're doing for the game of golf, and especially amateur golfers in particular. I know one of the things that you've been talking about is that in between, kind of what Ryan and I were just talking about, was junior tournament schedules and how difficult it is sometimes for parents to find the events and when and why I should play in certain events. And I know, what your tour is doing is servicing for some of that, right? For those kids who might be in that range where they're not a D1 player, they're kind of in between, they're not sure where they're going to go, but you're providing some opportunities for these kids to playing events and play competition, really, I would say up competition in some ways, because like yourself and like a lot of your players on your tour are ex-college players. So, I mean, they're actually playing against some really, really good competition, which I really love about what you're doing there. How do you actually flight it, and what are you thinking about doing in the future?
Yeah, no. So we flight different divisions. Division 1's 3.4 handicap and under. We do everything on a tournament index that's based on tournament scores, all the way up to our Division 5's 18 and a half and up. And it's interesting you say that for opportunities, because what really gave me the inspiration to start the Amateur Players Tour is I was traveling around in my early 20s, and I was looking for places to play in between, trying to qualify, obviously the USGA qualifying circuit, the Illinois Open, the State Am, with the ultimate goal of getting to a mini tour. And it's just really hard to find a place to get reps. And I think that's one of the things that's important to your audience is it's important to get tournament reps, like, as opposed to getting every tournament that's really big. but it's important to get tournament reps in tournament scenarios and really test your skills and your mental focus in that. And so that's really when we started the tour for me, being a better player, I was looking for something that I could get reps in between big qualifiers. And a lot of our Division I guys that currently play on the tour use it for the same thing. You'll see them on the USGA qualifying circuit. You'll see them in their state AMs or state opens. You'll see a lot of college kids in between seasons that are just looking to get tournament reps. And so it's great for that, but it's also great for, the person that, played football or baseball and is in their 40s and they can't compete anymore in their sport just because of the physicality, but they still want to compete. And we've got a lot of divisions for that as well, which makes it a lot of fun.
Matt,
Ryan,
how has kind of the
Ryan, you still have a chance to compete.
I'm in. Matt, tell me how NIL though is affecting amateur tours, just because I'm seeing more and more amateurs now playing the mini tours, and obviously they're allowed to accept a certain amount of the money. How is kind of this, we've got players now that are 14, 15 years old with agents that are making I'm talking real money out there. How's that changing the landscape?
It's interesting. I don't know how much it's hit us head on yet. It's certainly coming. I mean, we do have players that play on our tour that are sponsored by a local business, things like that. We haven't got into necessarily, I think, the big time NIL money, but I think the elephant in the room when it comes to this is the USGA recently took their amateur prize limit from $750 to $1,000, right? But the cash rules for amateur tours are interesting at best, without taking up all the time to that. And so it's really going to be interesting to see, there's kind of two things that are going back and forth at each other right now. And it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out over the next, 12 to 24 months.
Well, I'm going to dive right in on that because I think it's one of those things, and as Ryan knows, we talk about NIL a lot and how it's affecting the college game, right? And it's a big thing, right? It's affecting our junior golf space now. I'm not sure exactly, and maybe I shouldn't say this out loud, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'm not sure exactly how the USGA is still on this. I don't know, their heads in the sand on this whole thing or what, but why is it that a college player can sign for millions of dollars as an amateur, right, and still compete in the US Am and compete in the US, obviously compete in the US Open, but a US Am or any other US amateur events, and not be disqualified when you take a normal amateur player, like Ryan, like you, Matt, and you can't accept more than $1,000. If you do, you're disqualified and you're no longer an amateur. And you got junior golfers, for heaven's sakes, taking thousands of dollars right now and can still go out and play in USGA events. Makes no sense to me. Something's got to be adjusted here or changed, or they just need to step aside on the whole, rules of golf.
Right.
Or rules of NIL, maybe. I don't know. Money.
Yeah. Well, so three things I think to that I'd like to say. Number one is NIL is supposed to be not for performance on the golf course, which I don't know where you guys stand on that, but if it's not for performance on, why are basketball players at Alabama making millions and basketball players at a D3 school making hundreds, right? If it's not about performance on the field. So I think that's one thing. The second thing, we have members that do competitive rodeo that talk to me all the time. I mean, they're making as amateurs hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. I mean, they're buying trailers, they're buying horses, they're buying everything to do it in the space. Yeah. And then I think the third thing with risk of maybe getting criticized a little bit for this from our friends at the USGA, the rules just need to be applied equally to everybody. I think that's the issue. If you look at even the cash component within the $1,000, a scratch flight can take cash, a non-scratch flight can't. And so not only are you limited to $1,000, but it's limited to gift cards. It's just, it makes no sense. It's certainly not taking care of the 98% of golfers in the country. And just, it doesn't feel right, to be honest. I'll say that. And so it's one of those things, like, we certainly abide by the rules of amateur status on our tour. We respect amateurism. I do think it's important. It's important in the history of our game. I think it's important to protect by all means. But at the same time, like, we need to come up with a standard that makes sense for the world that we live in, because golf doesn't live in a bubble. It lives in a lot of other sports that are rising, and we have to also be competitive with what those other sports are doing if we expect to continue to grow players that want to play competitively.
That is a great transition to another way that the sport of golf is changing. Certainly, Roger is the guy that developed this. He is the forefather, if you will, of PDI. I don't know if you know or not, Matt, but the Notah Begay Junior Golf National Championship is actually running. Think about this for a second. There are 6 events across the United States where kids with just their PDI score now, not talking about going on the golf course, but just their PDI score, ultimately can make it to the World Championship on Golf Channel. I know you know a little bit about it, but certainly Roger's focus has always been player development. That's what he's been all about since he got into the golf business, is how do we develop our players to be the best they can be. And everyone is so worried about everything on the left side of the room, worried about their score, worried about their ranking, worried about their NIL, worried about this, worried about that. And we've all forgotten the right side of the room, which is, are we developing as players, or are we so clouded because of what's on the left side that our actual development, which at the end of the day, that's all that matters, has suffered. PDI, it's here. It's changing so quickly, the landscape of junior golf. How could you see PDI ultimately affecting the game of golf on an even bigger stage?
Lots of ways. It's why I'm really excited about it. It's been fun getting to know you guys over the last few weeks since the PGA show. But in amateur golf, we look at, I feel like we're piling on a little bit on the USGA when I say this, but one of the big issues in amateur golf is flighting. And, most tournaments out there use the USGA handicap index, which, if you follow the rules of handicapping that the USGA puts out, it would be completely fine. But the problem is how many golf clubs have a handicap committee that's reviewing scores and things that go in. So we start people in our different divisions based on their USGA index. And, 50% of the time I'll get an email that says, well, I don't put out 4-footers, or I don't count penalty strokes. And they're posting these handicap indexes that we know aren't accurate because the players are openly admitting that they're not accurate. And so we're stuck. So we use a tournament index that's based on tournament scores. Nice. But the hard part is the average player plays, 10 to 12 tournament rounds per 12 months. And so it's not really a big enough picture to be as accurate as, it's certainly more accurate than, not having anyone looking over the shoulders. People are posting scores. But there's still another level missing. And so one of the biggest challenges we faced in the amateur tour space, because divisions don't work like they do in the junior golf world. It's nice. You're 13 until your 14th birthday, and then you move up a division, right? In the amateur tour space, it's based on skill level. It's based on handicap. And so PDI gives a great layer to really accurately flight our players based on their skill set and make things more stable and more consistent. Because one of the hard parts about, the amateur tour landscape is, no matter what you set the flight at, somebody's always going to be the favorite, and somebody's always going to feel like they're kind of in a division where they're getting their butt kicked for a while until they get better. It's just the nature of flighting by handicap. And so the more we can add a layer using PDI, just the better we can and the fairer we can make our competitions, but also giving our players a roadmap to develop and get better and reach their goals, which is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, Matt, I appreciate you taking the chance on this, and I think it's going to work out quite nicely in the sense of the amateur golfer and how it's going to trickle out even more. As Ryan said, we're currently doing this with the NB3 National Championship, which we're super excited. We're super excited about what we're doing with you guys and the amateur tour, and how this is I think, going to set some groundwork here that's going to hopefully make some people recognize that we can actually change the landscape here in development, and not just about let's throw another event out there and get more people playing and paying, which I'm all for as well. Don't get me wrong. I think that's
Right.
nothing wrong with it. But I also think that if we're not developing players to see that they actually can get better while playing in the appropriate location, maybe tee box or length of golf course, we're going to find a lot more people leaving the game disgruntled and not happy, because they may be honest and they play against people or sandbagging, if you will, and just go, you know what, I'm tired of doing this. It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm done. And we've all heard that before. We all know that happens, unfortunately, in our game. But we believe this is going to make it easier to do, but add a layer of sophistication of player development, right? So that's really a big part of what we're trying to do.
Well, I think too, on top of that, we have such a great opportunity in growing the game of golf. You can't walk around the PGA show and not hear the term grow the game. There's 13 million new people that have come in since COVID into the game of golf, which is an enormous surge, right? And our role in the amateur tour space is to take people from, the casual golfer that may play once or twice a month to guys that are taking lessons, that are going to the range after work, that are getting practice rounds in before their tournaments on the weekends. So we're really taking people from that are just kind of sticking your toe in the water to see if they like the game to people that, are absolutely a part of the game. And so for us, we're excited to, partner with you guys to give a roadmap for people to get better, because that's what it's all about. And taking people that may drop off to people that are absolutely obsessed like we are.
No doubt.
So what is the strategy to implement this, especially as you move towards using the PDI score as the flighting system?
Yeah, so first we've got to get some coaches certified, and so looking forward to getting up with you guys and really understanding the assessment, and then starting to look at for us, step one is probably around our senior tees. We do some interesting things with seniors that are 60 and over as they start to lose distance, to help them stay competitive and stay in the game longer. That's a low-hanging fruit. The other would be just keeping our flights consistent as we get closer to our championship, trying to stabilize the promotions to keep people in the proper division for longer, so one really good round doesn't necessarily put them in a division that their skills may not have them be capable of yet. And to bring that extra level of fairness to our divisions, which, ultimately leads to a lot more fun and a lot more competitive competitions. And so starting with kind of the low hanging fruit, and then work towards a broad implementation to our 6,000 members in the future. So we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, and kind of, Matt, going back to what this is going to do for the game as well. I know we have a lot of responsibility to grow the game, but I also think we have a greater responsibility of stewarding the game. And I think what we're trying to do now is steward the game in a direction where, again, everybody can recognize that they can get better if they actually know how to get better and know how and what they're going to get better with, right? So I think that's a big part of this. The other part of this is it, now think about all the players that we're going to have doing PDI, more engaged with their local club, more engaged with whether it's private club, whether it's public club, whether it's semi, it doesn't matter. They're going to be more engaged with their professionals around them, which, and again, back to the ecosystem of golf, it only helps. So I do think that a big part of this is us helping steward the game in the right directions where everybody's benefiting from this, not just us as a company, but really everybody that's involved really is starting to see the benefits of why, if we steward the game is growing with or without us, right? It's how do we steward and keep more people in the game, and how do we have more people participating in the game and getting better and saying, hey, I know I love the game because there's always opportunity for improvement, right? And I know how to get that.
No, absolutely. And one of the things that you guys will be great at partnering with us on is we have so many people that come in and get hooked. and they don't know how to get better, right?
Right.
And so, one of my most asked questions when I'm at an event, especially our, upper division 4, division 5 guys, is, hey, what do I need to do to get better? Is it going to, and they ask about teachers and all this stuff, and that gets difficult, right? Because you've got so many options now for lessons. Some are super high tech, and some are feel, and you've got to figure out which one you are. I know for me, when I went super high tech, I got a lot worse, and so I have an old school teacher that sits out on the range and helps me feel something, and we work on things at a time, and so. But not everybody has that opportunity, and so giving them kind of a plan on here's what I need to work on to get better, and then being able to implement that with a coach as well, just makes it easier for the coaches in the country to be successful as well. And so I think there's just a lot of upside in helping our players get better and bring it to amateur golf. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Matt, why don't you tell us a little bit about how our listeners and viewers can find out where they're playing, where you guys are playing, and how they can get involved?
Yeah, absolutely. So the easiest way is go to our website at aptgolf.org. And we've got a list of all of our chapters on there, a little bit about the tour. It's a small membership fee to join for the year. It's like $135, and each event then has its entry fee. That includes everything. So golf cart, range, practice facility, prizes, the whole 9 yards. One of the nice things about, our tours, when you join, you automatically get entered into a local player of the year race in your chapter. But you also can compete in national player of the year race, and you get points literally anywhere you play in the country. And so if you're a business guy and like to travel a lot, and you can pick up tournaments at different locations, and it's a lot of fun, and encourage everybody to join our community. We're the fastest growing amateur golf community in the country, and just filled with a bunch of great people who love golf, and we'd love to have you be involved in it.
Thanks, Matt. We love what you're doing with PDI. We appreciate it, and certainly encourage everyone to get out and play. Thanks for your time today.
Hey, thank you. We'll see you guys soon.
Awesome, Matt. See you soon.
You got it. Roger, very interesting on a lot of levels, and I could not help but kind of tie our conversation before Matt joined with what that conversation was about. That our country and our junior golf community is so fixated on everything except getting better. And is there a way, can we tie playing junior golf, attracting college coaches, competition, getting better, can we all tie those all up with PDI, where your PDI score is equated with your tournament score? Because we all know at the end of the day, it's about getting the ball in the hole.
Yeah.
It's about getting better on that journey. But how about a system as I'm now listening every day, I get a new college coach that comes with an endorsement about PDI. So this is kind of the confluence of two things moving in opposite directions, where it's all about getting to college. That's what every parent will tell you. That's what I want for my junior golfer. Can we play college golf? Okay. If that is the majority of junior golfers' end goal, whether it's Division 1, 2, 3, NAIA, if that is where the journey is starting, and a best case scenario, my son or daughter plays junior golf, plays college golf. Okay. So Roger, we've put that as the goal. And now getting there has been massively blurred on what's the best direction. We now have the college coaches on record, on tape, coming out and saying that PDI is their end goal of how they would like to judge the junior golf world as they're ready to offer a scholarship. So you now have the college coaches saying they want one thing. You have the junior golf saying that the goal is to get what they just heard on tape. I'm very wordy here on what I'm getting at, but if the goal is to play college golf and the college coaches are telling you what they want to see, Roger, how about we get a system that gives both parties a better way to get what they're both looking for.
You got it, Ryan. You're nailing the nail in the coffin, right? So you get me all excited to talk about this, right? So I mean, that is the problem. If you really think about it, Ryan, PDI does everything that anybody would want, right? It tells me what my tournament scores are. It's a part of the equation. It tells me what my mental status is, or how I'm actually developing my mental skills, my physical skills, my golf skills. And all of that's wrapped into one nice little envelope that says, as I develop, that number gets better and my golf scores go down. Wow, that's pretty novel. But it seems so simple, right? And when you really think about it, one of the big reasons I started doing this was because rankings was this whole thing out there that parents go, if I'm not ranked this, I'm not going to play golf. And okay, that's one part of it. The other part of it is that there is no handicap system for any junior golfer until the point you reach college. There is nothing. There's absolutely no rules that say you play by any tournaments based on your handicap or anything. There is absolutely no guidelines whatsoever when it says if you start playing, golf, and let's say that you become a really good junior golfer, and you start thinking about college golf, there is nothing out there that says, hey, this is what you have to do to play. To your point, college coaches are now saying, absolutely, I want to see a PDI score of X. My team is made up of these scores. Boy, what a novel idea to say, hey, parents, just get your player at this level of competency, skill-wise, golf skill-wise, mental skill-wise, and scoring-wise. You have a chance of playing in my school. Pretty novel.
Right. So let me build on that. Certainly with the Nota Begay, we've talked about it. If you go and sign up for the Nota Begay tour, you will be given the app for the free self-guided assessment. That's really the start of this, that everyone's going to have a self-guided PDI score, and then you go and you get that certified by a coach. Now just think about when PDI becomes a percentage of your ranking equation. And that's obviously the next step. I mean, we're going to have thousands of kids that will have a PDI score in the next 8 months.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we need 10,000, 15,000 to have the PDI score, but you walk before you run. It doesn't happen. I get it overnight. I mean, we've been talking PDI. I get that it's got to be to the point where every single kid that states their destination as I want to play college golf understands that a PDI score it's a mandatory part of getting to your ultimate goal, which we'll get there. I have little doubt about that. But as that becomes part of the system, the equation, now college coaches and the junior player, and most importantly, the junior parents, all are on, for the first time ever, a level playing field on how to get to the final destination.
You got it.
Seems pretty easy. I know easy, common sense. It's a buzzword right now in the world. Common sense isn't used in everything we do, but the more we use it, the more we realize, wow, boy, this would have been a lot easier had we just started with this at the beginning. But I guess you walk before you run, Roger.
No doubt. I mean, listen, Epictetus would say easy is hard, right? You take some old Stoic quote. I mean, and I think that's where we live. I mean, we live in this whole society where, I mean, we have so many things at our fingertips that say, let's make your day easier by using technology, this and that. We're saying, yeah, let's kind of keep it that way. Let's make it easy. Just know what you need to know and focus on those things and nothing else. The results will take care of themselves. Just work on, the process. And these are all what we call lead factor process, things. So if we just do that, things take care of themselves.
So again, the way this is going to work, especially as we unveil it, we're still a couple weeks away. So everyone on the podcast is way ahead of the game. But you'll do the self-guided. There will be a self-guided leaderboard with thousands of players that have done the self-guided. You'll see where you stack up. You'll see where you stack up against Nota Begay. You'll see where you stack up against Rose Zhang. You'll see where you stack up against people that have also, through the Junior Golf Hub, through the Performance Center, through PDI, have a PDI score. And that's going to give you a real indication of where your growth is, your development as a player in the areas where you need to go to catch a Rose Zhang, which obviously that's a pretty good, if you're an aspiring young lady that wants to play college golf, wants to play the LPGA Tour, pretty good idea to see where your skill set is compared to where Rose Zhang is. So then you have a leaderboard that just encompasses everyone as they do the self-guided test, about 50 minutes, part of your practice routine. I encourage it, especially as you find out where your weaknesses are. Then you go to the coach guided, which will be at 6 events. You can also do it in your local community with certified teachers, but you now then go onto a leaderboard of coach guided PDI scores. And as this becomes as college coaches endorsement after endorsement saying, I'm looking for a PDI score to go along with your basically your scores of your junior golf tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now you have a much more meaty resume for a college coach. And I guess that at the end of the day is, how do you separate for a college coach? That's the question I get more than anything on the road is all the scores. So many kids are shooting the exact same number out there. How do I stand out? Do I need to go chase a tournament that's 3,000 miles away? No. You know how you stand out? You have the best PDI score in the country. I promise you, even if your scoring average is the same of 1,000 other players, if you have the best PDI score in the country, you're going to have a long list of suitors. How about that?
Yeah, that's a great way to say it, Ryan. I mean, we just witnessed the same thing happening, right? There's Jalen Hurts, the Super Bowl champion quarterback, said, here's a guy who was just developing. I mean, we've heard it many years from Tom Brady talking about developing, putting themselves in the right position through a developmental pathway that puts them ultimately in position for ultimate success, not just success early on, but really ultimate success. And that's what PDI does. I mean, it really is very helpful with, showing where you are today, but also projecting, where your future might look like if you stayed on path and kept the continuum going. So really great way to say it, Ryan.
Yeah. So Jalen Hurts, he had a really good scoring average. And then Tua Tagovailoa came along and they said that he couldn't throw the ball, so he was out of a job.
Yeah.
So he took the PDI test for football and found out that he was really weak in these 3 areas of throwing the football. And he went and he worked on those 3 areas. Well, he just won the Super Bowl, folks. He was told that he wasn't good enough in one area, so he went and changed that area. And now, I mean, you can compare he and Tua, but the reality is Jalen Hurts took the information and did something about it. PDI gives you the information, I tell people this all the time. I've been on the car drive home from a junior golf tournament where we shot 71 and holed out for eagle and chipped in twice and actually didn't play very well at all. But we did a couple things on the golf course that made us believe we did something really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
So we went home celebrating a 69. The reality was we holed out for eagle and chipped in 3 times. It was a pretty sloppy round.
Yeah.
Conversely, you get a couple bad breaks with wind directions that lead to some high scores on holes because you thought you're playing to 110, you caught a gust and it went 130 and you went long and now you're assessed a penalty stroke and you go home upset.
Yeah.
Golf score, it's important. It's very important, but it also doesn't always tell the whole story. PDI tells the story. Can't wait to get started, Roger. So thankful you invented this because it finally is going to give the community I care about, the junior golf community, a better way to get to the final goal. So thanks. Self-assessment. Let's just start with this to end the podcast. How do we get the self-assessment started? Because every player in the country needs to start there, needs to download that today from this podcast. How do we start with the self-assessment?
Yeah, download the golfpdi.com app. Go right there. It's pretty intuitive. Say sign up today as a player, and it'll walk you right through the self-assessment.
So we all know it's coming. We all know it's going to be arguably the most important part of getting to the end goal. Start today. Download your self-assessment. Start there with a PDI score. Compare yourself on the Nota Begay website as far as how you compare against some of the best players in the world. With that, lengthy podcast, but a lot of great information today. As always, we say thanks to Matt. We say thanks to our director, producer, Michael Nick, and for Roger Nick, I'm Ryan Burr saying until next time, we'll see you real soon on the Hub of Junior Golf Podcast.